Thinking about buying a franchise? Then the How to Buy a Franchise show is just for you. Here's your host, Dr. John Hayes.
Thanks for tuning in on iTunes or on Stitcher Radio and howtobuyafranchise.com. I'm John Hayes, and my guest today is the founder of a very interesting franchise company, Experimac. His name is Jim Muir. Jim, welcome to the program.
John, thanks for having me on the show.
So where did you come up with this idea? And this is one of the things that people come to this show, this expo, and they're amazed to say, I didn't know that was a franchise. People think that franchising is food or burgers or pizza, and it is all of that. But it's also selling, reselling computer equipment.
It is.
Like at Experimac. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, what a lot of people probably don't know is that my background was 25 years in the automobile business. I ran dealerships. As probably a lot of your listeners know, back in 2008, 2009, the economy got really bad. It was no longer very viable for me to be in the car business. I had to reinvent myself, and I'd like to say that it was really a smart idea, and I woke up one day and I just thought, let me start a business. It didn't actually work that way. Okay. A lot of guys, they fish, they golf, they hunt. My hobby for the last 20 years has been Apple computers.
Okay.
So I looked at my wife one day and said, let me take a stab at doing Apple computer business, selling used Apple computer products. And at that point, she was like, well, we have nothing to lose, might as well give it a shot. First full month that I was selling used Apple computer products, I started on the internet, eBay and Amazon. I think I made about $8,000 or $9,000 in profit. Obviously, I did a lot better than that very shortly thereafter. And I stopped taking phone calls from car dealerships that were looking to hire me. It took about 6 or 8 months, and I no longer entertain any of those thoughts. And I realized, wow, this is really a great business. It's an opportunity to make a lot of money. And then shortly thereafter, the business got rolling, and we were contacted by United Franchise Group about becoming one of their members.
So where did you find all this equipment to resell?
Well, that's one of the things that people don't realize is that if, let's say Apple were to sell 10 million computers this year, well, that means they probably sold 9.5 million last year, 9 million the year before that, 8.5 million. There's a lot more product out there that's used than is actually new. We actually think that the companies that sell the new computers are in the minority when it comes to product availability. And most product is not sold through retail locations. It's sold to institutions, schools, government, businesses, and so forth. So as long as you know how to find that product, you can definitely have no problem finding inventory. Okay?
And is it a secret how to find the product?
Well, that's kind of part of our secret sauce.
Yeah. But when you were doing it on your own, when you made $8,000, $9,000 in that first month that you started doing it, did you have access somehow to a lot of...
I was like a lot of people. I was doing a little bit of dabbling on eBay and Amazon and so forth. But then after a while, I started building some relationships with some pretty big businesses. And now we have the access to thousands, and actually we have one company we do business with that gets as many as 1.3 million computers a year.
Woo. So I've got a funny story that relates to this, that it comes... I didn't know this story was going to be relevant. So I am a MacBook guy. I've been using them for, I would guess, the last 15 years maybe. So I'm on my third one.
Okay.
So every time, when I bought my first one, loved it, it was too heavy. It was a big one, it was too heavy. So I upgraded to one that was a little lighter. And what did I do with the first one? I put it in my closet because, it had all my stuff on there. And I'm not a computer literate guy. I don't know anything about hardware or the operation of a computer. I'm not interested. I'm a writer and a speaker. So I'm not interested in what it does. I'm interested in how it benefits me. So I put it in the closet. So then, that computer was in the closet along with a couple of old keyboards that I had bought from Apple as well. So then I bought my second MacBook, and what did I do with the old one? I put that in the closet. So I've had until this past year, I've had 2 MacBooks in the closet, along with a couple of keyboards, along with some a mouse or two, and I don't know, some other parts. So one day my son, who's usually here, but he's off maybe getting something to drink, my son says, why do you have those MacBooks in the closet? I said, I don't know what else to do. They got material on them. They got my files on them. I don't know how to remove them. I'm not sure that even if you told me you removed them, that I would trust you remove them, and I don't want people getting into my personal information or my books or whatever. So he said, look, trust me, we can wipe these out, we can upgrade them, and I can sell these on eBay. So I thought, well, I need to get rid of some things in the closet, and this just happened in the last 6 weeks, where I said, one of those MacBooks I had to bring back from Kuwait because I spend most of my time in Kuwait. I teach there in Kuwait. And the other one was here in the United States. He has sold one of those for $1,200.
I'm not surprised.
On eBay. Mm-hmm. And the second one has just been upgraded, updated, whatever they're doing to it. And it's my oldest one. So I think he said that was only going to get us $600 or $700. And then my partner, Scott White, has had some Apple products in the office that he also gave to my son. So this is a real business.
It is, and we're exactly the kind of company that people like you would be looking for.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
So not only do we help the customer in getting old data off of the machines, but we'll often take them in on trade, offer them a great value, and in most cases when somebody trades in a machine, they don't even pay sales tax except for on the difference.
Okay.
So there's some sales tax advantage there, but we can kind of get them into a faster, newer model. And instead of maybe looking at a transaction price at $3,000 in the Apple Store, trading in an old model, they might spend $300 or $500 and get something a lot newer than what they have.
Okay. So you started this business, and you started it out of your home, it sounds like.
I did.
On the computer.
I did.
And then did you move to a retail location?
Well, the story there is we were selling on eBay, then we started selling on Amazon. I got a phone, which people who sell on eBay and Amazon don't typically do, because nobody puts their phone number in. I did. I did pretty good business with that. I started selling on Craigslist, and 1 month I had 85 customers come to my house to buy computers.
Wow.
I immediately got a notice from my association. I live in a gated community, 38 homes. They basically said, get out or we're going to, So anyway, so we found a retail location. Our business, the first year in the retail location doubled. As tremendously as we were doing out of the house, the retail location made a big difference. And then the next couple of years after that, the business doubled.
But did you
as well.
not want a retail location originally? Were you thinking, gee, I like working from home?
Well, I was actually one that was okay because my background is retail. I never had a problem with a retail location. It was a little bit more difficult for me to convince my wife. She was a little concerned about it, but she trusts my business decisions.
Yeah, good. So, how long was it until you found United Franchise Group and decided, I think I could franchise this idea? Did they find you or you find them?
Well, coincidentally, and the world is full of coincidences, when I told my wife I needed to get a retail location, she asked me if I would talk to a business consultant. Which I did. I reached out to a business consultant.
You got a smart wife.
And rather, I've been married 36 years this month. So rather than argue with my wife, I made a decision to let's talk to a business consultant. I knew one, and mentioned it to her, and she knew the same gentleman. She said that's fine. He came and looked at the business, and his recommendation to her was, listen, don't walk, run as fast as you can and open up this business. Okay. Well, as it turns out, 6 months later, I was introduced to Ray Titus in the United Franchise Group, because this business consultant was a business consultant that also worked with United Franchise Group.
Transworld Business Advisors.
Well, it wasn't Transworld, but it was a gentleman that we both knew in common.
Okay. So then Ray says, hey, Jim, we can help you. You don't know anything about franchising.
I was very skeptical.
Yeah.
I've never franchised at all.
Right.
But I can tell you, your show is to tell people about franchising, okay? When I opened up my first location, I didn't know anything about franchising. There's something out there called tenant improvement money that tenants get a lot of times when they lease a property.
Yeah.
And if you go through a franchise company, they're smart enough to know this, and they'll help negotiate the lease for you and help you get free rent and so on. I didn't know to ask for any of that. So my first location, I got $0 in tenant improvement money. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that franchising often can do for you is you can take loans on retirement accounts. Okay. I didn't know about it. I wasn't involved in franchising, so when I started my business, I actually cashed my retirement account without knowing that I could have taken a loan without taking the penalty and the.
You didn't know you could roll over your 401k.
I took a penalty, and I also paid the income tax.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of perfect examples of why franchising really is a good model, and there's a lot of strength in the model.
So Ray helped you understand these benefits.
He has.
And then was it Action Franchising a part of UFG, or how did they take you on as a client to develop your business? for Experimac?
Well, I think that from the beginning that Ray and United Franchise Group felt like the business was only going to be the business if we did it together. So we're partners. I got involved with, I actually have 4 sons that were in the business with me.
Okay.
The 4 sons are all still part of the business. Three of them have left my personal stores in West Palm Beach and Boynton and have joined the franchise group. And I have 1 son that remains running the stores for me. So now I get to be an absentee owner of stores, and that's another thing that you can actually do when you franchise a business.
So how long ago did this happen that you connected with United Franchise Group?
It's been about 2 years now.
Okay.
We started selling franchises at the very end of 2014, and we've got about 100 franchises sold to date.
Wonderful.
We've got a number of international. We've got Mexico sold. We've got Chile sold. We've got deposits in other countries. We've already got deposits in Australia, so we're going all over the globe.
Okay. So, couple-year relationship. Go back and, for the sake of any viewer or listener who might be in your position, you were skeptical about franchising. You'd never franchised anything before, and probably skeptical about who is this United Franchise Group? Why would I trust them? Ray is a very convincing guy, charismatic guy, who certainly, with 30-some years of experience, knows franchising. But even so, how do I know I can trust this guy to develop? How did all that happen, and what would you say to people who are in your position?
Well, I actually did what a lot of potential franchisees do, and made some phone calls and did a little bit of research and looked up on the internet and found out that the company was very reputable. And I couldn't find anybody that's done business that's a franchisee of United Franchise Group where I could find them say anything terrible about the company.
Yeah.
And it left me with a lot of confidence in the people that I was doing business with. And I can tell you, in the 2 years worth of relationship that I have with the United Franchise Group, they are exactly what they say.
Yeah. So it not only sold your wife, I assume, that United Franchise Group would be the way to go. And now, so as a founder, lots of times, the founder of a company, I represented founders of companies all my life. That was my job primarily until I got out of that side of the business and returned to education mostly and to running a franchise business for a period of time. These guys usually have huge egos. I don't know that you have a huge ego, but the bigger that ego, and I used to say, it's bigger than the Empire State Building, the ego of the franchise founder, and many times it's well deserved because they've done wonderful things. You help 100 people get into a business that they could have never done on their own. You've done a whole lot more than anybody else in the world helping those kind of people. I mean, you truly in franchising are helping other people. But if you have that big ego, you don't want to turn things over to United Franchise Group. You don't want to do it their way. What convinced you to, okay, let me swallow some pride and let me not let my head get away from me and make this into something bigger than I could do it on my own, assuming that's what you thought. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I mean, I look at it like one thing is I do have a sense of humor. And I realize that in life that there are good circumstances that happen to us and there are bad circumstances. And there were some circumstances that happened in my life, and I'm sure the same thing with listeners, that at first appear to be something that's a negative. Well, when the economy crashed in 2008, 2009, it was a real negative thing. But it didn't defeat me. It didn't end me. I decided that I would move forward. I would put one foot in front of the other, and I would march on. And I know people that roll up in a ball in the corner and let their houses go back to the bank, and that was never an option for me. I'm a person that's driven to be successful. But I don't take too much credit for the success of the business in the sense that I feel like I was in the right place at the right time with the right idea. And I wasn't a genius for coming up, but it was just the natural progression of events. I mean, a bad economy, but the hobby that I had for the last 25 years was Apple computers.
Yeah.
Wow, well, what kind of idiot has that as a hobby,
to
right?
Turn your hobby into a business.
My wife used to refer to my love relationship with the Apple computer as my second wife.
Yeah.
Okay? And I guess I got the last laugh.
So, how did it work with Ray and United Franchise Group? You went into business with them, so it's not a matter where you're a client paying them a fee.
Right.
They became a part owner of Experimac.
They became a part owner. They've given a lot of resources. We've given a lot of resources. It's a team effort. I don't think that Ray would have been comfortable with the business running without me to start out with, at least.
He wanted you to stay with it?
Yeah, and to me, I feel like, the way we treat our customers and the way our business has been run is based on a lot of the thoughts that I have about how customers should be treated. Everybody talks about, you got to have good customer service. Well, my honest opinion is good customer service, that stinks, okay? Good customer service just gives you an entry into being able to be out there and compete in business. If you have bad customer service, you should be out of business already. If you have good customer service, somebody might tell nobody. If you have great customer service, they might tell 2 people. And if you have bad customer service, they're going to tell everybody.
Tell a lot of people,
okay?
right.
So you have to do better than be good,
yeah.
okay? So in our business, there's a couple of things that we do that we feel are very important, and we teach our franchisees when they come, even on a discovery day. Somebody comes, and we talk about it when they come on a discovery day. We teach it in our school, in our franchise school, and when we go set up the store, we teach the same thing. We believe that you should never charge a customer for easy. What I mean by that is, somebody comes in, they have a problem with their computer. Usually in 5 or 10 minutes, we're diagnosing that computer in front of the customer. We don't take it to some man behind the curtain in the back. 5 or 10 minutes, we can diagnose 99% of the problems right there in front of the customer, give them a price. If they don't want to have it fixed, we say it's no charge, it's no problem at all. Somebody buys a computer from us, and they trade in another computer. We do a data transfer at no charge. If they buy a hard drive, we do the same thing. We don't believe in charging for easy. That's number one, okay? If you were to make an appointment at some of the manufacturers' places of service and walk into certain stores with a repair problem, they might tell you, well, you got to go online, you make an appointment 2 or 3 days. You get there for your appointment, you got to wait an hour once you get there, okay? And then they might send it away for 3 to 5 days, and I hope you backed up your data, okay?
Yes.
Because your data might not come back on your hard
drive. Or you got to go home and do that.
We think that's terrible. We 5 or 10 minutes, we're usually telling them what the problem is. We don't charge them $100 for a data transfer like some of these other places, okay? So we try to give them some value for their money, so we don't charge them for easy. The second thing is, I learned this from a sales team that I worked with many years ago. It was a team of ladies, okay? And I found out something very interesting when I worked with a team of sales ladies is, guys, this is going to sound sexist, but it's mostly true. My job is to do my job. I understand what that is. And for me, it's always been my job to satisfy customers. What I found out working with this team of ladies is they didn't satisfy customers because it was their job. They satisfied customers was because they wanted to make their customers happy. Just that simple reason. And for me, that was a revelation. So the other thing that I try to teach the franchisees is it's not your job to have satisfied customers. Have satisfied customers just because you want them to be happy. And if you can do those 2 things, it makes a big difference in how your business runs.
Interesting. So you've got 100 units sold.
Yes, sir.
And how many are open already?
Over 40.
Okay. And 2 countries have been sold?
We've actually got more than that. We've got deposits in about another half a dozen countries.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. So why are people buying Experimac? What, other than this, they can't all have Apple products as a hobby, but maybe a lot of them do. Other than, it's Apple and there's a certain romance about Apple product, which I understand since I'm one of those people. I don't think I'm a fanatic, but I buy, if I'm going to buy computer-related something, it's going to be Apple. Why are they buying Experimac? Because there are lots of other things people could get in and still use Apple computers or use Apple products. So what turns them on? Well,
I think it's a question of affordability. I understand that if you were to go into the Apple store and you look at the average computer they sell there, I've been told it's $1,400 or $1,500. And in Experimac, the average transaction price is $600 or $700. People can get an Apple computer that would otherwise not be able to afford it. And what a lot of potential franchisees ask is, well, why would I buy that computer product in an Experimac when I can buy a new Apple product for X amount of dollars? Well, what they don't realize, and I realize that from the car business, is that the customer that buys a used computer at an Experimac store is typically a different customer than a customer you see in the Apple store. It's not the same. In car dealerships around the country and new car dealerships, typically they sell more used cars than they do sell new. People look at a new car dealership and they think that's their main business. No, the money is in used and the customers are in used. And a lot of times the reason somebody would buy a car dealership in the middle of Nebraska would be because they've got the opportunity to sell used cars with some credentials, and that's the new car moniker on the building. So that Experimac name on the business, I think, is going to lend a lot of credibility to our franchise around the country, and it's going to be a safe place where customers can come get a great warranty on a used product.
So was there ever any, or has there been, or did you ever expect any interference from Apple that you're in, this is our territory?
You sound like somebody that's coming to talk about buying a franchise.
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you that that's a question that honestly comes up a lot.
Yeah, sure.
And in 7 years, we've never heard a peep from that. I'll tell you, if I can't speak for Apple, but if I was on Apple's board, I would think that I would look at a company like Experimac as doing a service for them.
Yeah.
Think about it. If it wasn't for the fact that we were putting some of these folks in Apple computer products, they might be buying their competitors' products. Okay? So maybe some of these people that we're putting in Apple computer products in the next couple of cycles will end up buying new products from Apple. So we've created a customer for Apple. I think that we're in an advantage for them, not a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So I think that they would definitely agree with that.
Good. So what kind of person or personality makes the best Experimac franchisee?
Well, I think that it's important in whatever business it is. If you're going to buy a franchise, you need to be customer forward. You need to be able to look customers in the eyes. You need to deal with them one-on-one. And you need to train your people in that same way. So we have a couple of ways that when we interview employees in our stores, we're a tech business, right? But most of the people that we've hired in our business are not technicians. We've hired mostly salespeople, okay? Because we want somebody that looks in the customer's eyes when they talk to them. So when we interview somebody, if they don't look me in the eyes, we don't hire them. We have another rule which is very important. We also don't hire employees that don't talk to customers. That's a rule. If you want to come to work for us, you have to be able to talk to customers.
Sure.
The reason why is occasionally a customer asks you a question about something that was just repaired.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to take that customer's question and translate it to a technician in the back, then take the technician's answer and translate it from back to the customer, okay? We say to the technician, get up off your butt
Right.
and come out here and talk to the customer.
Right.
And they understand going in, if they want to work for us, that's a job requirement. So we look them in the eyes, and they have to talk to customers. If you do those two things, you're probably way ahead of the game.
Yeah, good, wonderful. And how much interest is there a lack of interest at any time? Do you have lots of leads, and do you turn a lot of leads away because they don't do those two things?
Well, I think that the bottom line with a business, like any business, is a location is always an important place. So the closer you can get to a highway is always helpful. But not every location is on a highway. And our first store, as busy as we've been, is not on a main road. You have to know it's there, okay? So you got to rely on word of mouth. That's important, okay? But you've got to make sure that you're doing those things in your community to let your community know that you exist. Nobody notices that your business is there if they don't know it's there. So what are you going to do? You have a responsibility when you buy a franchise to not stand inside the business, stand behind the cash register, and wait for the business to come to you. Now, I think that our business model might be such that it'll be successful that way anyway after a period of time. But you know what? We all want to make money. We want to pay our bills as quickly as possible. So anything that you can do to market the business is going to be great. Now, we do have a marketing plan with Experimac that we train the franchisees with. We actually, we will visit the stores. We will help them with refreshers. We'll do whatever we can, and we have some great marketing ideas that we share with them.
Yeah,
and we usually find the franchisees that are doing the best are the ones that are following our marketing plan.
Exactly. It always comes back to that. The most successful franchisees are the ones who do what the franchisor told them to do. But getting franchisees to do that is the biggest challenge for a franchisor.
Well, that begs the question: why would anybody buy a franchise if they don't want to follow along?
Exactly, right. Yeah,
I mean, isn't it the reason that you buy a franchise is because somebody else has already figured it out?
Yes.
And you're buying what they put their blood, sweat, and tears into.
Right.
Okay. So follow that. And if that would be my advice to anybody that's out there that's listening: is you know what? If you're going to buy a franchise, commit to doing it the way the franchise wants it.
And yet, people will think, well, I could tweak this and I could tweak that and make it better. But your job as a franchisee is not to do any tweaking.
Well, we don't mind tweaks, but do it our way first.
Yeah, right.
And then if you got some great ideas, let's do it together. And if you got something that works, you know what? Let's take it and let's put it in all the stores because we've got open ears. We haven't thought of everything.
Exactly.
I mean, we've had some franchisees bring some great ideas back to us, and we've implemented in some of the stores. So, I don't want to tell you too much because we can't give away the secret sauce.
Sure. Exactly. So how about your challenges now that you become a franchisor and you're part of United Franchise Group? What are on a day-to-day basis now, how are things different? What are you facing that you didn't know you would be facing, or that you're surprised you're facing, or what keeps you awake at night?
Actually, I don't think anything keeps me awake at night. I think that things have gotten smoother as time goes on. I mean, franchise is not something that I ever did before. I know the United Franchise Group is wonderful at it. They've done it for 30 years. But I've had to learn how to fill the role of the president of the brand
Yeah.
and to give the support to the franchisees that they need and the level of communication and my commitment. And that's something that I've been working on. And I think that our franchisees definitely recognize that.
Yeah. So yours is personal development in
Absolutely.
your case.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not my business, but sales has been my business.
Yes.
So the two fit together
Yeah,
great.
and because you come from that sales background, you've had personal development, I assume, all along the way, because it's
Absolutely.
very important. Zig Ziglar, one of my longtime heroes, and I used to write the Zig Ziglar newsletter every week, and I wrote a book about network marketing with Zig Ziglar, Network Marketing for Dummies, some years ago. And in fact, it's Zig who said, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's what franchising is all about. So you are helping people who love Apple products, love Apple computers. You're helping them to get into a business that is all about the reselling of and the repair of Apple products. Mm-hmm. What could be better?
I don't think anything could be
Yeah,
better.
right. And what does your wife say today?
She's a little shocked.
Yeah.
A little shocked. So.
She didn't think you were capable of this, Jim.
Well, I think she did, but I think that as any good spouse would be, they're always cautious and they trust you, but they want to make sure that you're protecting them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what kind of goals do you have now for Experimac? What's going to be the next big challenge that you're looking to meet or overcome? Or
Well, as the United Franchise Group has expressed to me, a real good milestone for a franchise is to reach 100 locations.
Yes.
Once you do that, that's really the point where they can say that a franchise is successful.
Yeah.
Okay. Our target is, at least my target is, Apple has about 350 locations. I think that our target should be to open more locations than Apple has.
Yeah, good.
And we think that within probably 3 or 4 years, we'll probably be at that point.
yeah.
We're probably going to sell 120 to 150 locations just this year. And as long as that trajectory, which I believe will continue, we'll be at that 350, 400 mark probably within 3 years.
So that's in addition to the 100 you've already sold. You'll sell another.
We may be at 500 within 5 years.
Yes. That would be amazing.
Well, I think we could live with that.
Yeah, you're going to live with amazing.
We'll take more, of course.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know you're a Ray Titus guy. That's exactly the right approach and philosophy. And then there's the international market that Tony Foley would be working on developing
Absolutely.
for you, among others. And that has to be huge for Experimac because, as I said, I'm in Kuwait most of the time, and we don't have Apple stores in Kuwait. We have a business that Apple allows a company to sell.
It's called an authorized reseller.
Yes, that's what we have. But they're not quite as sharp as they need to be. I've used them on a number of occasions where I ran into a problem. But all the products are there. They're good at selling the products. But to have an Experimac in Kuwait, for example, or in Abu Dhabi, or in Dubai, or throughout the Gulf region, that will be an amazing opportunity for people, because not only for people to become franchisees, but for the consumers of Apple products as well. So I look forward to you opening there. And how about in Dallas? When are you opening in when I'm not in Kuwait, I'm in Dallas?
We actually have 7 or 8 locations sold in Dallas already, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 open.
I didn't know there were any open yet.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
in
they weren't
the
open
area,
yet.
we have just as many in Houston.
Okay.
So we're pretty well on our way in Texas.
Okay, I've been waiting for Experimac to open in Dallas. I wasn't aware you had a location.
Well, if you want to
So
know
I'll
where the
check it.
locations are,
Yeah.
all you have to do is go to Experimac.com.
That makes sense.
Click on your state, and it'll tell you where all
Right,
of them are at.
Experimac.com. Jim Muir has been my guest today. I'm John Hayes. We're at the International Franchise Expo. I learned a lot about how you can get into a business. In Jim's case, Apple products were his hobby. So who else gets the opportunity to take your hobby, turn it into not just a business that he started from his home, but then turn it into a franchise company, already 100 units sold across the United States, and several countries sold as well. It's only going to get bigger from here, Jim, and I wish you all the best. And the folks at United Franchise Group, I think very highly of them. I appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to our next opportunity to speak with our friends who are joining us on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, and at howtobuyfranchise.com. Remember, at howtobuyfranchise.com, we provide free resources that will educate you about franchising, beginning with, is franchising right for you? It's a powerful way to start a business and a powerful way to multiply a business, but franchising is not for everyone. Make sure it's right for you. I look forward to our next episode. I'm John Hayes.